set here to show you the ins and outs and the tricks of the trade of doing silk paint. The first thing you need is a supply list, which I have brought. So this shows you the kind of bare bones, basic starting situation. You can get it done with one brush and a piece of silk. Well, here are blanks, so you can do a man's tie, and you can get from Dharma Trading Co and other suppliers hemmed scarves. I like that because I want to spend the time painting as opposed to hemming a fabric. Here's my super duper heat gun because I am going to put some resist on, and in terms of the sake of time, using a hair dryer or a heat gun to make sure it dries. Otherwise, you have to apply the resist, the washable resist, one day and wait a day for it to naturally dry. You need brushes. You need at least one. Don't get the puny tiniest one hair brush. You will need large brushes for big areas. I like to have what is called an oiler boiler. This washes out, and wherever you put it, it makes lines. And there you'll see later some finished products. I use throwaway styrofoam bowls and plates. You can go to Texas Art Supply or your art supply dealer and get a liquid. There's a nice French brand. This one that I have is Jacquard. These are in a powder form. Do not sniff it or inhale it, you know. So I have been mixing these, and I have put this diluted. It really is nice. It starts out powdery, and now it is becoming a liquid. And I'm going to put, just like whenever you do Easter eggs, prepare for a little strong scent. I'm going to put a little vinegar in, and the vinegar, like the setting the dye on an Easter egg, this works nicely too. It is useful if you're going to go someplace later to wear gloves, because these are dyes and they will stain your hands and make you look purple or black. Now, this I love. If you buy nothing else, I love this product. If you have to go someplace special, you can wipe this onto your hands, massage it, rinse your hands, and the color, the stain goes away. So this I find quite valuable. Of course, you need some towels, paper towels. I am mixing here another kind of resist. This one is, I have one that is a rice flour. This one is actually a potato flour. So I need to get it a consistency for stamping. Before I get to the stamping and the fun, I need to create an image on the silk. So this is my silk. You can use a simple picture frame. You can go ahead and wash your silk scarf first, but they work just fine. These have some creases in them. Ideally, you know, if you have time, it's better to wash it so the creases go away. So now, what I have in this container is some writing instruments. You can use just a simple, soft pencil. And you might say to yourself, I don't know what to do. What should I do? You have a mental blank. You can go to art supplies and you can see designs. Here's one of a rooster, or maybe you like an owl. So if you wanted to do a customized scarf or design, you have to have some kind of a roadmap to know where you're going. So if I wanted to go with the frog theme, for example, I've got my big, and I don't want to get too fussy or too tiny, but nevertheless, I have the frog. The thing is about silk, the liquid, when you start applying liquid, so there's a frog, his basic shape. I can flip him. I have discovered that with doing scarves, the ends are very important. This is the back of your neck. Not so important. don't spend a lot of time decorating that part. So I have got my oiler boiler over here, and this will have to dry. Now it gets a little exciting in that I'm going to have to suspend this. So I'm giving this form legs. And here are little yogurt containers. And the cloth, when it gets wet, will sag. I really like longer legs than at home. I use other kind of containers, like ones this tall or taller. My name is Vivian Pollock, but Jackson Pollock, who did Dribble and Spill, said, I deny the accident, all of his dribbles and spill. He doesn't contend that but I embrace accident. Sometimes an accident is a good thing, so I have a slightly different philosophy. So the idea is I need to anchor this down. And the neat thing about masking tape is if it starts sagging, you can always make an adjustment. If you let this product dry, then it doesn't work anymore. But you'll figure that out as you go along. So now you have to eat your Wheaties, be strong. You have to make a little line. Doesn't have to be absolutely exact, but you don't want the dike to break. You want to make sure, better to go over your line than under, like if I go skip, skip, skip. Skipping is not good, and you'll know immediately if you skipped an area. The hardest part is putting the design on. If you go abstract, you don't have to be so picky. But if you, and see these little blobs, these accidents, see those little, I think those are bubbles. Those are bubbles in the water. Or maybe those are little tadpoles. I can come up with a story. And on this particular silk, I'm going to show you some wild and crazy things you can do to create textures and patterns. They do have like electric little dispensers, if you had issues with arthritis. There is a product if the dike breaks and you get the color, a dark color where you don't want it to be, there is a product to take that out. Okay, so this is one technique. Now I have to bring on the heat gun. I'm hoping I don't set the silk on fire. Okay. Woo! If I'm doing this at home, I take my time and I let it air dry 24 hours. If it is sticky to the touch, it's not dry. And oftentimes I'll put on music. I like guitar music, I like Kenny G, I like various music, and so that kind of gets me into the spirit. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to do a stamping technique. This is a potato paste. It comes like this, and you mix it with water to the consistency of paste, sort of like an Elmer's glue. So the idea is you want a layer, and I don't think the consistency is quite right. It has to be, so I don't know if you can see this. There is a peacock feather. So now I'm stamping. Sometimes you can get like a ghost image. You can stamp twice and then reload. This is a snowflake. I'm going to put this here, and I'm going to take one of my brushes. I could use this one probably. It looks like it's had its last days. Wherever your stencil is, and I don't necessarily, it's a pattern. So there is a little bit of a pattern that's developing. I have some other ones here. This one I think is kind of interesting to look at. It's some sort of packing material, but I liked it, so I can just stick that on there. and I have all those little dots. And if I'm home, I would certainly be much more precise. But at this stage, a nice firm pressure. Okay, so here we got this kind of a, see, look at that. Look at that precision. So with just a little simple potato paste, and this is going to dry faster than this. Okay, so this gives you an idea of two kinds of resist. One that you use in the tube, and the other you just use the stamps or the stencils. Then I have other weapons to use. Before I go to that stage, I'm going to go ahead and dry this a little. The downside is if you hurry this, then you're going to lose your pattern. This cute little butterfly, if it's wet, will evaporate. You'll see it disappear. Take your time. If you put your patterns down the day before, then you come back fresh the next day. And you can also rework a scarf. Okay, you can use shapes, like this is PVC pipe. So you want something totally circular? No problem. Do you want to try to draw the circle, or do you want to stamp the circle? So we'll do a couple more of those. And you can just, you don't have to think about it. Don't get a migraine over what you're doing. Just have a little fun with the supplies. So I'll have to hit it again in terms of trying to dry it. So while I'm doing that, I'll show you some other things you can use. You could use these aquarelle crayons. So this could give you some colored lines that harmonize with your pattern, and they basically are going to wash out. But always test it. Just a number 2 pencil or a soft pencil works good, but this is very soft. I also have graphite sticks I sometimes use, so I don't have to waste time sharpening a pencil. I can use those. I have crayons, so with the crayons, they're waxy. So if I wanted to use them, they're going to resist too, especially if you're working with young children. If I want to do something, I could draw in something shapes, freeform, whereas it's not blockish like the stamp, but I could make some other mystery shapes. So whenever you wash the silk, you don't put it in the washing machine on like the same heavy cycle like you would do a towel or sheets. So let me hit it one more time with the heat gun, and then we're going to begin. So on this potato paste, when it starts looking more like flour, or you can touch it with your hand. If it's still sticky, it's not really ready. I have pre-mixed some colors, and these last quite a long time. So transporting it can be hairy, so you don't want to spill it. So I always try to have a lid, and then very cautiously, transport it, because you don't want to permanently dye something. So now, how do we get the colors on it? There are many ways. Let me go ahead and rinse out these brushes real quick. So here I have a little tray, and here is my butcher block, which is really nice. If you wanted to, and I like the white because you can see what color you're mixing. So we have the green frogs. At home I actually use a little glass Pyrex dishes because they're so easy to clean up. Okay, so yellow and blue make green. So here we have a little bit of yellow. Okay, I'm looking for my blues. I have several blues. Here is a turquoise. Let's see what happens. And we've got a green. I think that's a nice frog green. Let's see if the barrier holds. Okay. My alcohol is the diluter. So, and it's also my preparation. That if I want to kind of get things moving, well, you'll see. Okay, so I have one brush that's just for the alcohol. This really isn't all that hard. This is touching the table. This is not good. See, I tell you the mistakes that I make as I go along. Hopefully, if my barrier holds, we'll find out. Maybe this is one of those frogs that's been drinking the bad water. He's going to have 7 legs rather than just 4. I need to lift it up off the table. So I've got my tape, and it will sag as you add more liquid. That's why I like taller legs. I like changes of color, so we're going to get some changes of colors going. But the color bleeds, it goes to the barrier. It wants to break the barrier. If you haven't done a good job, then it's going to go ahead and bleed away. You just kind of dip it in and let it run to the barrier. So it goes pretty fast. The actual painting can go pretty fast. It's the setting up and the lugging and carrying and getting all of your supplies. You know, the fewer colors you use, the faster it is. Any questions from the audience? Any questions? No questions? It's done. Oh, okay, good. And kids love to do it. I have had kids that just take to it like a fish to water or a frog to the pond.
And I'm not very artistic, so it looks like something
that you
I could do.
Yeah. Okay, so this is your basic frog. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give my little frog some little speckles. I'm going to drop some, I'm going to sling or fling. Oh, I'll show you the salt effect in a minute. Every time I drop a little dot, I hope you can see it, the alcohol makes a perfectly round spot. I like to have a designated brush for each color. You know, that makes my life easier. Now here, I am getting kind of close here. That's why I like the little round brush. You know, I may be able to get into that area.
How long will it take to dry?
Well, in Texas, not very long. We've had a cold snap, so the hotter it is, the quicker it dries. But I let it dry naturally. The color that I use the most is the least important. The color that I use the least becomes more important. Can you see this bleed, this strong edge? If I don't want that strong edge, I have a solution. Remember my alcohol? So I can soften this edge. If I go around here, wherever you end it.
So if you want a hard edge on something, you wouldn't bleed it with the alcohol.
That's right. If I want to keep a hard edge, I will make a barrier. I'll use the oiler boiler to make sure that I have a nice strong edge. Would you like to see some finished products? This one is my 4th of July or musical kind of idea. I have the treble clef, and so you can, this is a full caftan. So, you know, you can sling it over your shoulders, go to an opening, and as you leave the room, you have an entrance, but you also have an exit strategy. Those of you that still have a waist, you know, you can wear it around your swimming pool, maybe over your bathing suit, over your shoulder. This one took quite a bit of time. This is a small scarf, but sometimes this one has the signs of the zodiac and the starburst, and there are no errors.
How long did it take to do that?
This one didn't, once I got started, it didn't take so long.
How did you get the gold on the thing?
Well, actually, the gold is a resist. This one actually was a pattern that came in a kit, but I changed the colors. It has, I used the neutral gray. I had a prettier gray. I forget what color. I think they just had red, white, and blue. For a little small scarf, the Texas redfish. And unfortunately, this gives you a nice contrast. I hem this myself, you know, so this, my grandmother would be rolling over in her grave looking at the hemming. So I much prefer to buy the ones from Dharma Trading Company that come to me beautifully hemmed. Precision, lovely. These are my special little heart ties. I gave one to my father-in-law, and he looked sort of puzzled. I guess he was a little too conservative to receive an heart tie. But this one's a little more subtle. And this one has kind of a mysterious hidden paisley. And this is a P for Pollock, kind of an understated gray tie for the more conservative man in your life. And this is my screaming lizard color, my yellow. And this has a little leaf pattern. The thicker, heavier silks take more color. This is a lightweight. The neat thing about silk is it's warm in winter and cool in summer. You know, how good can that be? So, you know, I hope that you are encouraged to give it a whirl. You know, the colors are luscious. It's not that hard once you get someone to show you which end of the brush to use. Thank you very much for your time.